Pretty sure everyone here is at the edge of their seats and is excited to begin. Therefore, let's jump right in to our first topic, adopting versus buying pets. We can all understand by the term that there exists different types of animals breed either in cats or dogs or rabbits and so on. It's not totally alien to us that for generation, people tends to prefer pure breeds animal over strays as their stereotypical mindset that pure breed outweighs stray animals. So, Mr. Dave, it's unfathomable that people still tends to think that stray animals is disobedient and harder to train compared to pure breeds. Is this statement accurate as said, and why?
Okay, you see, hi everyone. So I'm Dave from Dave Teoh Academy. So, very good Saturday, about 7 p.m. to all of you here, and thanks for coming in. And of course, thanks to Sunway University and the student volunteer groups for inviting me to come over here today to share some sections with you. It took possibly about 1.5 hours about adopting versus buying pet, and later on we will carry on with the next title of the dog psychology. So I hope that you guys don't get bored in this 1.5 hour time, and I'm sure you guys can use the chat box right later on. If you have any questions, you are welcome to drop me a message over there. Okay, and of course I think just now Mr. House, if I sorry if I get if I get your name wrongly. So you were asking me whether is adopting a dogs is as good as buying a dogs. Yeah, why not? Okay, so shall we just start? Sure, right?
Yeah, we shall.
Okay. So first of all, right, many people that misunderstand that adopting a dogs and buying a dogs. Okay, there's no wrong or there's no right or wrong that whether you want to buy a dogs or you want to adopt a dogs. But just that I will have to let you know, adopting a dog can be as good as buying a puppy. Okay, they can be healthy, they are trainable, they are the same as, or they're almost the same that you get a dogs. Okay, that you buy a dogs. So, um, so when you are new to a dogs industry, or you to dogs, or you want to pets or to any other things else, so you might looking for some other dogs that you prefer. The common ones, the poodle, shih tzu, shepherds. So all these are the common breed that people will use to go for. Why? It's like almost everyone have it, right? But people tends to forget about the dogs that need to be adopted. And people tends to forget about adoption center, they are full. And there's a lot of mongrel, they are homeless. They have no home. They don't know what they have to do. They are everywhere, beside everywhere. Almost every street in Malaysia, you see some mongrel around. So right now, it's time for me to let you know whether adopting a dog can be as good as buying a dog. Okay? First, how many of you actually have a dogs, cats, rabbits, birds at homes? You adopt or do you buy? If you adopt, what do you think? Are they as good as the one that buying? Or I'm sure that when you have dogs with you, right? Let's say you have adopt dogs, you have friends that they have buying dogs, they have all these branded dogs. If you compare with them, what are the different shapes? Basically, there's no difference, right? So that's what I'm trying to tell you right now. Adopting can be as good as buying as well. Okay. So many people, where did they get the dog from? If they are buying for dogs, Facebook, they screw it. Wow, this puppy is so cute. Okay. Window shoppings, but they don't tend to get the dogs. They go one utama, while they pass by pets more. Wow, the dogs is cute. Then they bring out their credit card and they buy the dogs. Some people, they buy dogs because of their children. They love the particular breed or their friend have it. Okay, so mainly people get the dogs from pet store, but in the new generation, people tends to get pets from Facebook, Muda, social media. And of course, if you want to adopt dogs, You can get it from animal shelter and from the responsible foster or breeders. Okay. So every day, almost every day that when we go out everywhere, so we see cats and dogs everywhere. When you're driving, you see, when you tend to walk outside, you see dogs, you see cat. Okay, so the dog was digging all the rubbish around, trying to chase after all these people. So they are so lifeless. Basically, they have nothing to do when they are at the street, and therefore they start doing all these things by chasing you, taking out the rubbish. And a lot of people, when they're passing by, they're trying to harm the dogs, so the dogs have to protect themselves more. So in other words, it's very pity for them, right? Okay, and they don't even have a safe place to sleep. And when they give birth, they don't even know where they can keep the puppy. And people tend to take the puppy away. People try to throw something food to the puppy, and it's very hard for all these stray dogs, the mothers, the childrens, the dad, to protect the puppies, to protect themselves. Okay, and the dogs that you see at the side at any way, so we usually call them a stray, a mongrel, or mutt. Okay, so it's very important that we have to know what are the responsibility when we choose our pets. Okay, even it's a stray or it is a branded dogs. Okay, so why have you wondering why there is so many of stray going around everywhere? Why? Do you know? Okay, so I'm sure some of you know what's the reason to cause there's so much of mongrel everywhere. So I'm sure you can use the chat box, right? So you can, if you have the answer, if you don't mind, you can just type at the chat box. So in the same time that we can go along with you. Okay. First is because of people who have no knowledge. They simply get the dogs and they don't know what to do. They just abandon it. Okay. And then the pets are being bred by all these irresponsible people in order to make profit. And when they have a lot puppy and they couldn't sell it, so they have to abandon it, right? Otherwise, you have to feed them a lot of food, and all this food require a lot of money. And of course, most of the dog, they are not neuter, or we call as they are not spay, okay? And therefore, they create more puppies. So neutering is one of the solutions to control the populations of puppy. Okay. And of course, one of the worst scenario right now is happening over Malaysia is most of the shelter, they are full. They have no enough space for any new puppy to come in. And of course, the foster, there's very limited foster as well. There could be a lot of reason that the foster couldn't fostering all the dogs, and the sponsorship as well. Especially during this pandemic, if you open up a space anywhere, so a lot of people, they are suffering. So people tend used to sponsor a lot to all these shelter. Right now, they have no choice. They have to cut costs because of this control MCO. So, and a lot of businesses, they are not running very well. So therefore, a lot of sponsorship have been cut off. Okay. Wow. So what are the challenging or the danger usually the mongrel are they faced with when they are living everywhere beside the roads? Of course, the illness. Okay. Second, they have no food. They need to fight for the food. They have to keep on searching for the food, even when they are able to search for the food. And it might not be enough for the dogs itself or for the pack, for the other pack of the dogs. Imagine that you have a puppy, right? You just give birth, your dog just give birth, and there's so many puppy, right? And the puppy need food as well. They need meals. Okay, after the meal, they need food. So imagine all these dogs when they have no enough food, then how are they supposed to feed their puppy? Okay. Next, poisonings. You know, right? If you look at the newspaper, very often people poison the dogs around the road. Okay, the dogs is good. The dogs have nothing wrong. The fault is not on the dogs, it's on human us who used to abandon the dogs, and therefore it creates so many mongoose. And it's us as well, human, who hate them and then we poison them. So I think this is very, very bad. Okay. And it caused a lot of traffic accidents. As you know, it always happen as well. The dogs get banged by the car, the car bang the dogs just run out with sudden. So it causes accident either to dogs or to anyone, you know, the cycles, the motorcycles, the car, the lorry, everything's okay. And lastly, they are facing with all these unwanted inhuman mistreatments, okay, like the throwing all the stone, all these things at the dogs. Okay, one of the mindset that I have to let you know, okay, um a shelter dogs are always healthy. So a lot of people think that shelter dog is shit. Okay, they are full of shit. Sorry for use that words. Okay, so shelter dogs are not being cared properly. You know, when they heard about shelter, they're like, I don't want a shelter dogs. You get the idea, right? So a lot of people have that kind of mentality, right? Shower that never been showered. They don't shower the dogs there. They're full of shit. They're so smelly, and they're not bringing proper care. Okay, maybe there is particular shelter they are doing that way, but the one that I know, the good one, the majority of them, they are good shelters. Okay, you get what I mean? So they are a good shelter, and of course, what is shelter for? Do you know what shelter for? Okay, so shelter is mainly for dogs. They have no home. Okay, um, like you really have some reason that you couldn't take the dogs, like you're very sick. Okay, so that you have no choice. So you have to send it to the shelter. Then there's a good reasons. But a lot of people they throw dogs to shelter whenever that they feel like I don't like the dogs anymore. So don't treat the shelter as your boarding center. Okay, as a free boarding center, we always say that. So a shelter is mainly for dogs that they are nowhere to go. Okay, they are homeless. They are waiting for people to adopt them, or people the dogs that are sick. Okay, so we have to put them into all these shelter. Okay, and don't misconcept it. Animal end up in shelter because they have been abused or have done something wrong. No, that's not the main reason that why dogs that live in shelter. Okay, it's because of lack of time for animals, a new place do not allow pets. Okay, life change, divorce, new job, new family members, dog got too big or too expensive. So all these are the different kind of bad reasons that people send dogs to shelters. And if you know, I'm sure some of you have been into working with shelter, right? So the shelter actually vaccinated and sterilized all their dogs and pets. Okay, so they have their regular vets to check out every single dogs there. So you should not have been worried, right? You get what I mean? So when you adopt a dog from a shelter, it will actually not get you a sick pets. So you don't have to be worried that when you adopt the dogs from a shelter, when you go home, that you have to spend amount of money um to bring your dogs to a vet or to bring your cats to a vet. Unlikely, okay, and usually unlikely, a very small percentage, okay. And most of the shelter they have their own vet, as I told you, so they have been checked out regularly, so you don't have to be worried on this part. Okay. Currently amount of animals going to shelter is creating to a amount of living. Okay, animal are euthanized to make space. Euthanize means put the dog to sleep. Okay, so when you adopt a dog, basically that you are saving two life rather than one. Okay, why? Currently you see in 2021, so people, the rate of adoption is actually getting lower. Okay, why? It could be,
他讲
it could be, sorry, okay, it could be that, you know, Facebook, um, all these muda social medias, they are getting very forward. So a lot of videos, they get a lot of chance and they could post up any pictures of dogs between a second, and the post will be shared public, right? So people tend to see more branded dogs than all these pet that need to be adopted. And therefore, amount of animals going into shelter is creating to amount living. And the other reason is a lot of people, they buy dogs, they have no time to take care after that, or they buy at first, they feel very happy, and later on they just feel they're getting bored of dogs because they don't have any proper knowledge of taking care of the dogs, and therefore a lot of abandoned dogs everywhere, and all these abandoned dogs have to go into the shelter again. Okay, so and due to the amount of dogs inside the shelter, and they have no choice, so they are forced to put the dogs down to make space for any dogs that need critical care. Okay,
That's
so
really a sad truth.
yep.
Yep.
Okay, so what are the importance of adopting? To talk about adopting is basically wonderful. Okay, it's basically that you save a life. Okay, a life, a very very good life, a healthy life. As I told you, a dog that came from shelter is actually very healthy. Okay, and you actually helps to fight against puppy mills and profit of welfare of animal. In case if you didn't know what is puppy mills, so puppy mills, we are talking about a breeder just simply breed the dogs for no reason, and they put all the breeding puppy into one very bad condition rooms. Okay, so that's what we call as a puppy mills. Okay, so make your life that animal like so much better. And of course, when you adopt the dogs, imagine that a dogs that have to share a room with so many dogs, and right now when you're adopting him, the dogs is living with you peacefully, so you're making your dogs so much better. Okay, and of course, as I told you, there's no wrong of buying a dogs. Okay, um like security company, so when they have no choice, they need to get a German shepherds. Police, they need to get the pure breed dogs to help them with the works they need. Okay, and of course there's a lot of animal shelters contain some pure breed as well, and of course mostly mixed breed of cat, dogs, or rabbits. So nevertheless, pure breed dogs can be found to adopt. As I told you, there's a lot of family members, they just buy the dogs always, they don't know how to take care of the dogs, and they just abandon it, and all these rescuer, and they rescue it, and they send it to shelter. And you might find a branded dogs like shepherds, poodle, all these at a shelter as well. Okay, so therefore there's no reason adopting should limit your choice, which means when you adopt a dogs, there is a lot of good breed for you out there for you to be, for you to look around. Okay, next. So as I told you, what is puppy mills? Okay, so it's basically that the kind of very commercialized type of dog breedings. So they just want to have as much puppy as they have, and they so they have very very poor facilities. Look at the pictures, so you will know. Okay, and basically they don't have enough food, waters, and sometimes they don't even care about the dog. So that's very bad. And one of the worst thing is inbreeding. So inbreeding happens everywhere on around this commercial breeding. Inbreeding means when the females is on heat, okay, and they tends to use the brother to breed with the female. So the genes is definitely too close, and we call this as inbreeding. And inbreeding is not good. So many breeders, when they need puppy, they have no choice. So whoever is on heat and whoever could mate with the heat dogs, they will just do it. And therefore a lot inbreeding dogs. Okay.
That's so horrible. Never
Yep.
realized that there's such a thing of like, I thought it's only in humans called in Alabama, right? Didn't know that in animals also they have such horrible things. It's really unspeakable.
Yep. So I think it's happening everywhere. So okay, of course, if you are buying a dogs, you need to look for a responsible breeders. Okay, a responsible breeders will only focus on breeding a standard of particular breed, which means the dog that the breeder breed, you can look at the quality is always grade A. Okay, and the way they take care of the puppy, okay, is super good. Okay, that's what we call a standard of breeding. When you look at the puppy, you will know whether this breeder is doing his job. That's very important. Okay, and they always provide a proper medical care. As I told you, they always bring their puppy to the vet to vaccine, to get checked up. And if you look at the environment, it's very clean, okay, and it's very safe. And if you look at all these responsible breeder, they always love pets, and they always treat their dogs like the children's in a very human way. Okay, well, imagine that if you don't buy dogs, right? So all these branded dogs, like all these shepherds and all these Rottweilers, they'll be off. So in the future, right, our children's, our grandson won't be able to see the real dogs of them. They can only see the pictures. Okay, and therefore, if you want to support, you always recognize to support a responsible breeders. Okay, and of course, adoptions a pet is actually very cheap. Okay, it's about getting a pack of pet foods. If you buy from a if you buy a dog, a good dog that is bred by a responsible breeder, it usually costs you more than 3,000 and above. If you get certain dog that is less than 3,000 and below, then you have to be aware. And I couldn't say it's not good, but you have to check them out properly. That's very important. Okay, but of course, the average of adopting a pet is about 150 to 400, including the cost of vaccinations or neuterings. That's cheap, right?
Yeah, that's true.
So here are the list of animal shelter association. I'm sure many of you have some others one. Okay, so these are the one that we always recommend that you can go, you can give them a call. If you can't adopt, you can make donations to help them to survive. That's very important, especially during this hard time. Okay, so you can contact and go to the local shelter to see what pets they have up for adoptions. And before that, you need to know how to properly care for the pet. Don't just adopt or don't just buy without any knowledge, and it will give you a mess. Okay, and of course you have to go for an adoption interviews. Usually they'll ask you why do you want to adopt the dogs. That's very important. And then pay the adoption fees. And congratulations, you are ready to get a new friend back. So these are the things, these are the steps that usually that um people go through before they get to adopt a pets. So you just contact them. I'm sure they will guide you everything. Okay, so the solution of adopting, so is of course is always the best way is for more people to adopt BS buying, right? Okay, so fostering the dogs could be the other option as well. So if you have space, if you have a land, if you have a big house, so you can actually help to foster all these dogs, all these mongrel, they're everywhere, so you can foster them, and then right now you can look for a new adopter anyway on the internet, you know on there's so many groups of adopting groups, so it's a way to help all these mongrel, okay, and look for a new owner. I'm sure the new owner, they don't mind to pay you the fees on that you bring the dogs to vet, you neutering them. So it's like adoption fees. Okay. Next. Okay. Another solution is, as I told you, sponsor and donating to the shelter. It could help a lot. Okay. So when you donate to the shelters, um, either food or money, so they can actually you can actually make a big difference. So right, to maintain a dog, it's not very expensive, but it's not very cheap as well. So we still need to get water, shampoo, and we need to get people to maintain them, to clean them. Okay? And of course, shelter, they are always looking for a volunteer. So if you like to be a volunteer, you can call out any shelter. I'm sure they are happy to take you in. Okay? And another solution to help on all these mongrel is don't abandon them. That's very important. Imagine that a dog is like your baby, right? You get married, you have a baby. So we will not want to abandon our baby, right? So the first day that we decide that we want to have baby, then we have to make sure that we take care of them. It's the same. So when you have the mindset with your children, maybe if you don't have children right now, in the future that you might have one, right? So you need to keep this mindset with your dogs as well, with the pet as well. Okay. Okay. Don't punish the animal by abandon them. You get what I mean? Okay. So if you must part ways with your pets, find him or a new home shelter to be the last resort. So if you really have no choice that you have to um abandon your dogs due to certain reason that you couldn't take him, then please find a responsible people to take care of them. Don't just simply throw them anywhere. Okay. And of course, you have to know what are the that you are buying or you're adopting. Okay. Like I say, pets are like our children's, so they are forever. So if you cannot take care of your pets for the entire of their life, so don't take them, right? Let someone who can do it handle them. So don't give them hope and then you just take it back like that. I think it's very bad. So before you buy, think twice. That's very important. You have to ask yourself, keep on asking yourself whether you have the time, the ability, the commitment to take care of the pet, whether you're going to adopt or you are going to buy. Okay, next. So we are end of the sections one. I hope that you guys enjoying and
I totally
hopefully
enjoy it. Mr. Dia, I totally agree with you that every pets deserve a home at home. And if like you can't care for it, let someone else have the duty that is more capable of doing it. And every pet deserves a shelter, a home, some love and warmth. Actually, I did volunteer for the Zero Stray project. And then when they went to show us about the zones that there's a lot of stray dogs, and really it's true, they are quite healthy, they are fat, they're healthy. Okay, they are fat and they are very happy and very cute. So they are just like these tiny dogs, fat and so healthy. It's like I least expected for them to be that way. Because I was expecting that, whoa, there's a lot of dogs. Sure, there isn't enough food, there isn't enough care. But whoa, they're healthy, they're fat and they're happy. You can see the expression and the way they jump each other. But
Yeah,
there's indeed a lot of stray
that's
dogs. Mm,
that's what I'm trying to point out is a lot of people think that actually dogs that are in shelter, they are very bad. The condition is not as good as the one that they are buying. And they think that when they adopt the dogs from shelter, they need to spend a lot of money, to
yeah,
bring the dogs to vet, to maintain them. So actually, this is a very wrong mindset.
totally agree with that. Because I do have like some friends last time, or even myself when I was younger, I was naive, thinking that shelter dogs are sick dogs, are not vaccinated, are injured dogs that they don't have, they're missing a paw or they are sick, they are skin problems. So I used to have that mindset until when I see with my own eyes that no, they are the shelter people, they care them with love and care, and it's our duty to continue caring for them. If we can fulfill our duty as a community, we can adopt them into our home. Yeah.
Of course, you see, there's a lot of irresponsible shelter as well. There's a lot of good shelter, and of course, there's some shelter they are not very responsible of what they are doing. So basically, they just try to bring in all these dogs, right? All these puppy from the street, just to ask people to adopt money to them, and therefore they can make a slight profit from the adoptions. There is shelter doing this way as well. That's why, as I say, when you want to adopt a dog or when you want to buy a dog, so you must know the people very well. So you can make a lot of research, right? When you can just walk into them. So you look at the way that they take care of the dogs, then you will know whether this is a responsible shelter or they are not. So you can see based on your eye, is if a irresponsible breeder, right? So they just don't care. The dog is like roaming everywhere, no proper care and stuff. So the dog is starving, or maybe you can see a lot of food around the shelter, but the dogs still get very skinny. So to check them out, to get the proper information is very important. So we couldn't know who are the good. I couldn't teach you that which is the good one, which is the bad one. So the only thing that I could advise you is go and check it out yourself. Your feelings will tell you what is on your eye, what is in front of your eye will actually tell you everything. Your feelings, whether you're comfortable, whether dogs are in good condition. I'm sure you know everything when you go and adopt the dogs.
Yeah. We need to upfront the approach ourselves because in Malacca, I'm not going to name which shelter. Their social media page, everything is very beautiful, saying the dogs are very healthy. So everyone will see like, oh, this shelter is very healthy. The dogs are all very happy. And I think I went there to check it out. Oh my god, I couldn't believe that the dogs are treated like animals that how to say like a farm animals and chickens and cow squeezing each other, and their bodies like got like kutu. Food is so dirty. So yeah, like Mr. Dave said, we should really check it out on our own self. So like moving on to the next session. So wow, what a phenomenal supporting details provided by Mr. Dave. As we can all understand that no animal is superior over the other, that every animal has its own stand, improving their worthiness if it was given an opportunity to do so. Therefore, we should treat every type of animal with love, care, and warmth without being biased, and instill enough affection and connection into your pets as much as you wish to receive back from them. Now, we have built your enthusiasm spirit in getting a pet. You will then proceed to ask us, so how would you be able to manage your pet's training and behavior patterns? Following next up to our next topic would be Mr. Dave's pleasure to share with us on his tips and tricks on dog training and dog psychology. So, Mr. Dave, assuming I am a beginner pet owner, how should I approach my new pet dog? Should I establish firm ground rules or simply punish it whenever a mistake is done?
What's you? Okay, so basically, very good questions. Many people that when they first get the dogs, they are very blue on what they have to do, so they have no idea that when the dogs comes to me, what are the first thing that I have to do with the dogs, right? Okay, so usually like the most basic things that when we have to work around with the dogs, the first thing that we have to do is what we call as bonding. So a bonding works very important on keeping the dogs to have a connection with us. Okay, if you don't have a connection with the dogs, then you will not understand that the need of the dogs. You will not understand the character of the dog. So therefore, the bonding is very important by keeping the dogs to have a relationship with you, and therefore you can understand the dogs deeply. So how do we have that bondings? By shouting around, making a lot of noise, or just feeding them, or walking around. So a good bonding means that you basically that you have to put a leash on to walk the dogs, to bring the dog out for a walk, and to give them waters and food. So these are the way that you can bond with the dogs. When you walk the dogs, right, you basically see through a lot of character of the dogs. The dog could be jumping around, the dog could be barking around, and strangers when you walk them, biting something else. So all these you could actually see it by during a walks. So what do you think about the bonding? Is that very important? Is it
Yeah,
important, right? So if
it's
you have no
important.
one, so imagine that when you just buy a dog and you just feeding him water and food, and you just leave it at the cage, okay, or at the side, or at the corner of the house, so you don't have the you don't interact with the dogs. So how would you know that what is going on with the dogs? Every dogs have their own character and behavior. So the behavior might not be same from dogs A and dog B, or your dogs and your friend dogs. So in order to know the dog's behavior, you yourself have to create the bond. You yourself have to look at him. Then you will start understanding. So when you have the understanding, then we can go further.
I see. Yeah, I agree that all dogs are different because when I compare my dogs, not comparing, but it's like I scratch his neck, he likes scratching his neck. But when I do it my friend's dog, he don't have any effect. But my friend said he don't do what that he will enjoy it. So it's like different dog have their own different itchiness or ticklish part. So it's very funny also that.
Yep. Okay. So there's something else very important when you need a dogs. Okay, what is that word? I always remind people it's what we call as energy. So energy is about everything in the dog's world. It's about how you connect with the dogs. It's about how the dogs know about you. So what is energy? So energy is basically a combine of emotion and intention. So it would be good equals to energy. Okay. So imagine right now when you see the dogs. Okay. So your emotion is being very fearful. Okay. So when you see the dog, you are being very fearful. So what will be your intention? Please don't come to me, right? Am I right? So your energy will become a weak energy. In other words, right now your emotion is very high when you see your dogs. So what will be your intention? You want to play with the dogs, right? Then your energy will become a high energy. So a high and a low energy is not a good energy. A high energy will always make the dogs run away, or will influence the dogs to be even higher. Okay, the dogs recognize our energy and they react to it. Okay, and weak energy will always make the dogs to look for you, to bully you. Imagine when you look at the dogs that you are scared of him, so you are having a weak energy, right? So the more you scared of the dog, the more the dogs will come after you. And you know, people always say, wow, how come when I'm scared of the dog, the more I scared of him, the more he want to come to me, and he didn't come to my friend. Why? It's due to the words called energy. It's because that your energy is bigger than your friend. So when you are pushing a dog, whether you like it or you don't like it, remain calm. That's very important. So we want a calm energy. We don't want to be too high. If it's too high, the dogs will run away from us. Okay, if it's too low, the dog will come and bully us. Okay, so we have to remain calm energy. And basically, if you talk about energy in a simple way, it's about what you feel become an energy. So it's about what when you're happy, you have that energy. When you are sad, you have the energy. So when you're excited, you have the energy. So all this energy will directly approaching influence your dogs. Okay, if you realize that some dogs, they are very hyper, they always jump around, it's basically that when you're very hyper. So when you're very hyper, you jump around, right, that you're very high, right, and then your dog react to your energy. Okay, so it's always our wrong approach and energy that cause the dog to have a lot of behavior problem. And right now, imagine that I have a food on my hand, so the dog jump around. He want to get the food, and I'm so hyper, and I give it to him. What do I tell him? Excitement is correct, right? So you see, a lot of bad behavior is actually caused by human energy. So we always run around with them when we don't know how to properly calm them down. So first thing that you need to do is calm yourself down. You must have a calm energy, and you don't want dogs, and we don't want to have the high or weak energy. And sometimes if we have a weak energy, right, will influence our dogs to be very fearful, to be very scared. They learn from us, right? So that's not very good. We have to be calm. Okay, next. So basically, a lot of people, they ask me, how did my dogs know about you? How did my dogs know about me actually? Okay, so the dogs know about you is actually by your energy. Again, what is energy? What you feel become the energy. Your dogs knows about you. It's not because of who you are. It's not because of whether you're called David, Joanne, Michelle. No, the dogs know about you is basically from the energy. Okay, it's not about what you're doing. It's not about whether you're a doctor, lawyer, or prime minister. You don't care. Okay, or it's not about your nationality. It's not about where you're from. It's not whether you're from USA, whether you're Chinese, Malay, Indian, or whatever it is. So your dogs basically knows about you by energy. Again, what is energy? Simple. What you feel become an energy, and this is where your dogs know about you. Okay, so how does your energy affecting your dogs? First, as I told you, right, how you feel. A lot of people told me, my dogs know that I'm sad, I'm happy, emotions. You are right. I just told you, when you're sad, when you're happy, when your emotions, it become an energy. And when your dog sense it, and therefore they know. Okay? Do not let your bad energy to affect your dogs. They will follow and react accordingly. According to one research in Germany by one of the professor, I couldn't remember the name, the scientist name. Okay, he actually made out a research for about 172 dogs, including mongrels, rental dogs. Okay, he actually find out that people who have depressions, okay, people who have depressions, what kind of depression, whatever kind of depression, and when they have dogs, the dogs tend to get depression as well. So it is that human energy to affect the dog in that way. So I think about 68% of dogs that participate in the research, and 172 dogs, 68 dogs out of 172 dogs actually have depressed. And 172 dogs, and the owners was having depression. They are ongoing medications and rehabs. So they find out actually more than half of it of people who have depressions, and when they have dogs, the dogs tend to get it from the owner. So therefore, we always say your feelings is going to affect the dogs. Your approach. What what does I mean by approach? Approach is like the food, I told you, right? When the dogs get very excited and you give him the food whenever he's excited, so you're rewarding the excitement. When the dog's barking around, that he's looking for attention, that he want to come out, and you just let him out. So you think that barking around is fine, right? So when you have a leash on your hand, the dog jump around, and you put the leash on him, and he think that jumping around when the leash on is fine as well. So you see, all this wrong approach actually make their behavior worse. Lastly, your actions. Some dogs, they are fearful, right? They are so scared. So when they're so scared, right, your approach, your action is so big, and therefore they run away from you. And some dog, they are so hyper, they are so dominant, okay, and your action is too low, and therefore they always jump on you and they want to bully you. So your action is very important as well. It depends on the energy, the type of energy of dogs that you have. So you need to know how you change your feeling and your actions. Okay?
Mr. Dave, your example of scenario totally replicates my way with my dogs, because sometimes when I'm sad and sometimes okay, disclaimer, I talk to my dog sometimes. I know it feels weird a bit, but sometimes I just like to talk to them. It's like just ask them about their day. I say, as usual, right? Smelly shit. Then yes, also when I'm happy, they also act very happy. But it's like when I want to bring them out for walk, yes, they always get very hyper and I put a chain on around them. And now that I know that this is actually wrong, we are actually encouraging them, we are giving the authority to be hyper when we going to put a chain on. Because when I'm going to put a chain on, he's going to run around and now I'm going to chase him and catch him and to put a chain on. So you think that's actually correct. So we have to have like a calm energy to tell them to exert that this is not right. We need them to be calm. So in order to do so, we ourselves have to be calm.
Yes, this is one of the bigger issue of dogs owner they are facing. Okay, so most of the behavior, right, happens due to the owner talk too much with the dogs. Okay, especially when the owner, especially when the dog is doing something wrong. Imagine when the dog is barking around and you talk to him, shut up, shut up, shut up, hey, shut up, shut up, shut up. So the dog think that, wow, you're giving me that reaction to bark more, to bark more, to bark more, to encourage me to do more. Imagine that your dog is biting me right now and you try to shout at him to ask him to let go. No way. The more you shout at him, the more excitement you create. And the dogs think that it's so nice to play. And therefore, he bite me harder. But when the dogs attack you, you try to stay calm, relaxed, and you just don't do anything. Basically, he will get bored out of the way. So, and this always happens that when you're playing the toys with the dogs, when you want to play with the dogs, you always move the dogs left and right? Trigger the toys and stuff. So what if you just throw the toys and just let BB on the floor? And the dog will just get bored of it. So imagine when you're playing the toys with your dogs and you try to make a lot of noise and you try to pull left and right, and the dog gets too excited and he wouldn't let go. So this is what I'm trying to say. Majority of people who have dogs, right, they talk too much with the dog. They never, they don't know the proper way to calm down dogs or to guide the dogs the right and wrong things. That's why I'm trying to train you guys right now. Okay, so next, followed by this dog's energy. Okay, as I told you, so we don't want the dogs to be high, to be low. A high energy will always bring out a lot of bad behavior. So what are the high energy bad behaviors? Pulling on leash, barking around, jumping around, very restless. He don't know what he have to do. So all this were mainly due to all these high energy dogs. And what about low energy dogs? So if you look about low energy dog, basically they're very fearful, not willing to accept someone that's new, or they take longer time to approach things that are not familiar. So all this was due to low energy dogs. So basically when you have high energy dogs, we have to bring the high energy into the medium energy. And if you have a low energy dog, then we have to bring these low energy dogs higher. So basically we want a calm dog. We want to be too high, we don't want to be too low. So it's very important that to judge the energy, everyone preferences is different. Some people think that a little bit of high is fine for me, or a little bit of low could be calm for me. So you as the owner, so you have to know whether that energy, whether you can handle him or not, or whether the dog is giving you any behavior problem. So if the dog is giving you certain type of behavior problem that causing you to have a lot of headache, which mean that the energy have to be adjusted. Okay, so the common causes of unwanted energy, of course, is always due to the energy is not balanced. So what do I mean by the energy is not balanced? The dogs don't get enough exercise, The dog don't know what he have to do. There's no rules, limitation, and boundary. Basically, the dog is just lifeless. Therefore, we want a calm dog. So we always say a calm dog is a happy dog. A happy dog always makes happy owners. Okay, next. So calm dog how? So talk is easy, right? We want to calm dogs. Everyone want calm dogs, right? Who else want to have excited dogs? But how? How? Okay, so right now I'm going to train you. I'm going to teach you. Okay, so if you have dogs, after this, you go and try it. Okay, and get a way to let me know whether it works or not. So very simple, and very effective way. Okay, people usually pay me about 5,000, for the entire course to learn about these techniques. But right now, I'm telling you for free. So I hope you guys focus right now. Okay, so what does the calm energy means? As I told you, right, energies that always make the dogs hyper is always mainly from human. When we are excited, then the dog excited. So if you want your dogs to be calm, so what do you have to be? Common sense. You have to be calm, right? So how do you make yourself calm? Before you practice this no touch, no talk, no eye contact, and you are first timer, you can actually look at the mirrors by looking at yourself. Okay, don't laugh. I know some of you, when you look at the mirror, you tend to laugh a lot. I don't know why. People think sometimes when I look at the mirror, when I look at my face, wow, there's one pimple here. How do I get the pimples off? Then I start laughing again, right? So when you laugh, you get the excited energy. That's something that we don't want. So look at the mirror. Breathe in. 1, 2, 3. Relax. Breathe in again. Okay, now you realize that your mind is clear, that you are much calmer. Go and find your dogs. Okay, so when you find your dogs, what you have to do? Your dog might be starting to roam around, jump around on you, that he want you to carry, right? So what you have to do is start ignoring the dogs by practice no touch, no talk, no eye contact. You might realize in a short while, maybe few seconds, maybe 1 minute, all of a sudden that your dog is just not moving. He just stay calm. Not moving as in that the dog can be sitting down, can be lying down, can be standing up. And all of a sudden that he just react to the energy that you're giving to him. At that time, you have to go and reward him by letting him know that this is exactly the energy that I want. Okay? So what if your dog is already calm right now, and when you walk into him, the dog is the same. So you can practice this when you just when you just came back from works, or when you just went out. So when you just came home, right, the dogs usually get very excited. They want to jump around you, right? So when you first thing that you have to do when you go in, when you enter, when you go back, so your dog jump on you. So what you have to do again? Calm down, no touch, no talk, no eye contact, relax, okay, and then you wait for the dogs not moving. As long as it's not moving, doesn't matter whether he's sitting down, lying down, or any other things else, then immediately you give him a reward. If you don't give him a reward, your dogs do know that he's doing it correctly. A rewarding is very important to confirm the behavior. So a lot of people, they don't reward the dogs. That's the biggest issue. Okay. Next, the fundamental of dogs. Dogs are instinctual. That dogs are instinct. So basically, they don't think. You have a food, they know they have to eat. Okay, they don't think like humans. Okay, and they react to the situation like super fast. Okay, so a lot of people think that the dog is like human. No, that's wrong. You know how big is the dog mind? It's about this size. How big is our mind? Our brain? It's about this big, right? So dogs usually don't think like human. Okay, unless a very short memory that trigger him to save it. And dogs usually have what we call as shortened memories. Okay, they do not think, but they sense the environment and react accordingly. Okay, that's what I tell you, and that's why the correcting of the dog have to be on the spot. Imagine that in the morning when you go out for work, then your dog bite your slipper, right? So you come back, you take the slipper and try to take the slipper and whack the dog. If I'm the dog, I would think that you are stupid. Why are you whacking me for no reason? I told you, right? Dog don't really think back about the past, right? So dogs are instinct animals. So they only react to it on the spot. So if you want to correct the dogs, you have to correct him on the spot. If you try to correct him from certain things that past then, it doesn't work. Okay? And therefore, sorry, and therefore the correction has to be on the spot. So if you want to correct the dog, correct it right now. When the incident is over, you let it be. Okay? They're different from human. As human, we are very smart. We always think. I think a lot of people thinks a lot, right? Some of people think until a lot of white hair. Okay, the dogs got a lot of white hair. It's not because of they think a lot. Okay. So, and humans are always very smart. We call it intellectuals. We are very emotional. We always have a lot of kind of feeling, and of course, spiritual as well. Some of you are Buddhist, some of you are Christian, and the dogs does not need all this. Okay, right? So if you're asking the dogs, are you belong to Buddhist? Are you belong to Christian? The dogs say, I don't know. If you know the answer, you say, I don't know. Okay, and the good thing is they learn from human emotions. As I told you, the research by one of the scientists in Germany is actually proof that the human emotions making a big part on the dog's emotions, right? Okay, so they absorb our energy and they project it. As I told you, if you're very hyper, your dog definitely very hyper. Family tends to have kids and dogs. Usually the dogs will be very hyper. You know why? The kids are always hyper when dogs are around. So when I go to some new family, when I know that they have kids, oh shit, I'm sure this dog is very hyper because of the energy from the kids. Okay. The common behavior issue, one of the there's many common behavior issue, but we list out few of the point here that usually cause the dogs to have a lot of problems is because that we break through the dog's nature's instinct. We are unable to fulfill their needs. There's no exercise, there's no leadership. We never think of any enrichment to replace their needs. And of course, make sure you can walk a dog well in a compound before you walk them outside. Okay, let's go through one by one. So what are dog's natural instinct? Okay, of course, if you are having a mongrel, then unlikely that you can find the natural instinct of dogs. Okay, a natural instinct is mainly for all these branded dogs like golden retriever. So what are the natural instinct of golden retriever? Retrieve, right? So in the past generations, the hunter used to shoot down the prey and they train the golden to bring back the prey. So they find out this particular of golden, they are so good on retrieve things. So they call it as golden retriever, same as Labrador retriever. Okay, what about beagle? Beagle belongs to another type of hunting dog, but not to bring back the prey. Beagle is to sniff. Some people, if you realize that if you have beagle used to sniff a lot. It's like they're sniffing everywhere. Okay, the instinct is so high. So in the old generation, right, the hunter trained the beagle to sniff the white ball, or any other type of hunting animals. So they sniff on the direction. Wow, there's a white ball over there. So the hunter will focus on this direction and look for the white ball. And this is the job of beagle. And next, the common one, German Shepherd. What are the natural instinct of German Shepherds? I'm sure all of you know, right? Simple, as a guard dogs. Okay, so according to all these branded dogs, so we have all these instinct. So and then what caused them to have a lot of all these behavior problem is due to that we are unable to fulfill the need of them. Of course, in the generation of 2021, we are unable to bring our dogs to hunt anymore. Am I right? Who still bring dogs to hunt, right? I think it's not even legal uh, to hunt. That's one thing. Am I right? So, second thing is, who else have gun license? Not everyone. Okay. So, and then we are unable to carry on the activity like what they used to do, what that bring them to hunt, so let them snip the wild boar and stuff. So all this activity was not able to carry on anymore in 2021. But human never think of an exercise to replace them. Actually, right, there's a lot of exercise could replace all these natural instinct activity. First is walk them. Walking them is the best exercise to do to get back their instinct. Second thing, you can throw a ball for them to retrieve, right? To get them the instinct of retrieving. So you can throw a ball, so they catch back the door. So this could be a game for retrieving. For bigger, what you can do is you can hide the food everywhere at the corner, making search for the food. So all these activities are simple and you can do any way within your compound to get your dogs back to the instinct. And of course, the most easier way is to walk the dogs. Walking the dogs is the best way to get back your dogs on track, especially for dogs that you adopt, that you don't know the breed. So you have no way to find that what is this dog for. No worries. Just walk the dogs. And there's no wrong that you can play fresh with the dog that you don't know. Just get them more activity to do. And therefore, the dogs itself don't get bored. Okay? So another reason is lack of exercise. So how many of you actually, when you have a dogs, you walk them daily? I don't think so, right? So majority of people, they don't walk the dogs daily. Maybe once in a month, once in a year, right? So imagine that I lock you inside the house for once in a month or once in a year. So your energy will be not balanced, right? So right now, hopefully that after today, you can change your mindset. If you're not working a dog daily, please do it and to bring out the not necessarily energy from the dogs. Okay, that's very important. And of course, no leadership is another reason that cause your dogs to have a lot of behavior problem. A lot of people when they have dogs, they don't care about what the dog's doing. They just let the dogs behaving whatever they like. That's wrong. A leader always correct the dog. So if you don't correct the dogs, right, if you don't become the leader, your dog will become the leaders, right? So it's only leaders and followers. So if you don't be the leader, who else is going to be a leader? Automatically, your dogs. So learns to correct your dogs and guide your dogs that to let you know that you don't like it and he's not supposed to do. That's very important. And leadership always help a lot on behavior problem. And as I say, we never think of any enrichment to replace their need. So what are the activities that we can do? Walking them, playing fetch, hiding the food, so that make them serve for it. These are very good activity that you can replace the dog's natural instinct. Okay, and another thing is we always advise our customer to walk well in the dog's territory compounds before you walk them outside. A lot of people they are facing a lot issue when they walk the dogs outside. The dogs tend to pull them like hell. Okay, so why? It's simple, right? So when you can't walk the dogs inside the house, then how can you walk the dogs outside? It's like when you don't know 1+1=2, then how are you going to do 2 - 1? So step by step is very important. So what the step of walking the dog is to walk the dogs inside the house first, and to make sure the dogs can walk with you properly, and then you bring him out for a walk. And when you bring him out for a walk, not straight away to 10 kilometers far away, maybe few steps out of the house. If he's fine, few more steps, then few more steps. Bit by bit is important. Many people are asking me, why is walking a dog so important? I do like to walk my dogs. Is that possible? Why? Why do I have to walk the dogs? So let me tell you, when you walk the dogs, you actually can establish yourself as a leader. When the dog walk in front of you, the dog's trying to tell you that he's the boss. When at the side and the back, it's just nice. Okay. So a leader always go first. A boss always is first. A boss always in front. That's very important that you know to look at the relationship, whether you are the leader or you're the follower. So you can look at it when you walk dogs very easily. Okay. So when you walk the dogs, you tend to establish yourself. You can, and it help you to establish yourself as a leader. How? When the dog go in front, you bring him back. When the dog is at the back, then you walk faster. So make sure your dog's following on the left, and therefore you can establish yourself as the leader. So during the walks, it helps you to provide rules. Okay, you can set the rules for the dogs and the limitations and the boundaries, so you can know where he can walk to and where he couldn't. Okay, so all these things you can set during the walks. And of course, walking the dog is a very good form of exercise for you and the dogs. And of course, a very good bonding. At the beginning of time, I told you, right, that's very important that you need to have bond with the dogs. So if you don't have bond with the dogs, you will not understand the dogs and they will not have any relationship. The relationship is important, okay? So of course, you get to correct a dog's behavior during the walk. What are the behavior that you can correct him? You know, jumping on other people, chasing other small animal. So all these things that you can actually see through during a walk. Okay, next. Okay, in order to set up a good group, so what are the things that we need? As I told you, the rules is very important, the limitation is very important, the boundary is important, the position from high to low is very important. You know, when the moms give birth to the puppy, so usually the breeders, right, will confine them into a box. So on the first day itself, the mothers already teach them the rules, the limitations, and the boundary. How? Let me explain to you. If you realize that the box is a boundary, okay, so any puppy try to get out of the box, the mom will bite them, to carry them, to come back to the box, to let them know that this is the boundary, that you cannot go out of the box. What about the rules? The rules is when the puppy, when they are sucking the milk from the moms actually corrected them when they are making it too rough or too hard. Okay, so the moms will go and bite the next if he's sucking it too hard. What about limitations? So when a bunch of puppy they're playing around, okay, the puppy could be biting on the puppy. The puppy could be doing anything to the other dogs, or it could be very rough. So the mom will correct them by setting a limitation to let him know that stop it right now. That's not the way. So if you realize, from the first day itself, the puppy bonds in this world, the moms already start to taught them the rules, the limitations, the boundary. So many of us who have dogs are still very blur on these 3 points, and we don't even know what are the rules that we have to set. Maybe we know, but we never do. Or what are the boundaries? You cannot go off on the gate, cannot come to the kitchens. So all these are the boundaries that we have to set. Okay, and of course, in every packs of groups, a good group, there's always a position from highs to low. Seems to any families. So I'm sure that you and your families, there's someone that is high and someone that's low. So, right? The parents is always the leader, Okay, my mom is the leader. When my mom shout at my dad, my dad just keep quiet. Okay, sorry, mom. I know you are the boss, right? So that's leadership. I'm sure a lot of families they have this position. So imagine that you don't make up yourself as the boss. Then who else will going to be? Your dogs is going to be. Okay, get what I mean? So from now onwards, remember, set yourself as the leadership. Okay, emotion system drive behavior. Okay, four main emotions: a fear due to a trick, a risk, anger, a panic, a separation, anxiety, seeking, curious. I think there's one slide before this, is it? Yes. I think he quit too fast just now. Sorry about this. Okay. Why do we have a problematic dogs? Okay. First, your energy is not very balanced. You're always very hyper, or you're always very emotions. Okay. You do know about what you have to do. Okay, that's not good. So if you have that issue, you need to seek for professionals. Okay. And as I told you, leadership is always the biggest issue that if you never establish, then you cause your dogs to have a lot of problems. Okay. And most of the people, they always run away from the situation by correcting the dogs. And the problem become very serious later on if it doesn't solve. You see, most of the problem happen from a little bit. And if you don't care, you just let it be, you're going to be getting worse and worse. It's like a tumor in our body. How should, if anyone of us who have cancer, and it's okay lah, cancer just let it be lah, it will be fine on its own, right? So if you just let it be, from stage 1, you will go out to stage 4, right? So always solve down any unwanted behavior as soon as you can. If you don't know how to do it, consult a professional. Okay, I told you, behavior issue always start small. And the other reason is to cause problematic dogs is that you do not fulfill the need of the dog. There's no exercise, there's no activity, and your dog is just lifeless. Basically, he just get food, drinks, that's the entire of his life. Okay, and of course, when your dog show you the good behavior, and there's no reward, and therefore your dogs don't even know whether he's doing the right things or not. So the rewarding is very important to confirm the dog's behavior. When you look at the dog's good behavior, always remember to reward them. And a lot of people, when they give reward, they reward them at the wrong time. When dogs barking around, they go and reward him. When dog jump on them, they touch him. So all these are rewarding at the wrong time. So we don't want to reward dogs when dog give us a fault behavior. That's very important. So when your dog calm down, relax, and this is the time that where you have to reward them. So the emotion system that drives the behavior. There's 4 main emotions. Okay, fear due to a tricks, which it was anger, panics, separation anxiety, seeking, curious, and try to smell everything. Other emotions, lust, sexual desire, appetite, care, maternal nurturings, prey, help young babies to have social knowledge. So to talk about all these emotion of the dogs, right? So some dogs they might have fear, race, panic, and seeking. So that is the reason to trigger them to have that emotions. So it's important to understand that when a dog is seeking around, what the reason that he's seeking around? It could be that he's curious, right? So he's trying to smell everything. Okay, next. So what are the behavior system in canines? Okay, investigated behavior by exploring the environments. So dogs usually explore environments to understand. Okay, so giving care and attention carried out by mother to the puppy. So learn behavior, monkey see, many do. learn from other dogs or animals, barking, sleeping, howling, dominant, and social knowledge. Okay, one of the important things here is learn behavior. So a lot of dogs, right? If you have two dogs, or more, so a lot of behavior, right, is actually they learn it from the other dogs. Okay, so when your dogs A have this problem, your dog B tends to follow it. Okay, or they learn it from human as well, or it could be they learn it from other animals like birds, something else, or any other animals. So it could be a learned behavior. So when you have dogs that have all this learned behavior, right? So it's important that you keep the other animals away to help them to have this problem. Okay. Dog language, how to understand them better. Okay, you see, in the dog language, right? I think in the old generations, people always say when the tail is shaking, which means the dog is very happy. It doesn't work this way. Okay, sometimes when the tail is shaking, right, which means the dog is not being fearful. The dog is being dominant, or he's being what do I say? He's being confident. So yeah, confident. So never ever to judge a dog's body language based on one indicate. Okay, so no single behavior can indicate the animal's state of mind in any situation. So we want to judge on the dog's right. You have to look on the ear, the eye, the body, the tail, everything's. Then we'll roughly know that what are the dog's body language trying to show us. Don't just look at the eye. Don't just look at the ear. When the ear stand, doesn't mean the dog is being aggressive. It can be the dog is trying to be alert. Okay, so evaluate entire animal, not just on single indication of animal emotional state. But I told you, a wagging tail does not mean a happy dogs. Next. Okay, again, this is one of the good secrets that I bring it to everywhere to oversee. So a lot of people they love my secrets, okay, and this secret is always came by us. And if some of you, if you read our books, I think this secret is inside the book. So in order to become a leadership and to let the dogs know that you are the boss, so you always that you disallow your dogs to do whatever he want to do. Always make sure your dog's following you, and always play opposite role with your dog. During the walk, how do you show a dog that you are the boss? I told you, when the dog's in front, you bring him back. When the dog's at the back, you walk faster. Or the other method is, when your dog want to go to the left, you go to the right. When your dog want to go to the right, you go to the left. When your dog want to go in front, you go to the back. Right? So when a dog making noise, you ignore. When a dog calm down, you reward. So all these are the method that you can establish yourself as the leader. So you try to be opposite character and behavior with the dogs, and therefore you can easily establish yourself as a leader. So when your dogs are seeking help, when your dogs are looking for a lot of tricks, when he want, don't give it to him. But when he don't want, take a trick and give it to him. So all these things, try to be a bit opposite with your dogs, to play an opposite role with them, so you can establish yourself easily as the leader. Okay, so these are the case study and happening everywhere, almost to majority of people that don't understand about how to keep a dogs. So I have a big house, so I don't need to bring my dog out for a walk. My dog is running around the compound. Why is it necessary to walk them? Okay, I don't care about how big is your house or the big lands or stuff. When your dog's running around on its own, it's considered as playing, or we call it as exploring. Proper exercise means the dogs have to focus walking with you, right? So you have to correct him, you have to guide him on where he have to go. So these are what we call as a proper exercising. So when you let a dog run for 30 minutes today, tomorrow he can run for 35 minutes. Next day he can do it for 40 minutes. The next day, maybe next year, can do it for an hour. So these are the playing. The idea of exercising the dogs to maintain the energy is not to give him more walking. It's about 30 minutes a walk, then to set the rules, establish the leadership, to calm him down. That's the most important thing. Okay? So many people think that exercising the dogs today they have to do it 30 minutes, next day they have to do it 35 minutes. No, it's not the way. It's about 30 minutes twice a day. And then the activity that you do during the exercising. You set the rules, how you guide him the right and wrong things to do. Okay? So why does my dog keep barking when someone comes to my house or just passing by? How do I solve that? Many people always have these questions. My dog is barking everywhere, everyone. How do I solve that? So the first thing is, do we have to solve that? So by looking at the barking of the dogs, right? It's instinct, right? When the dogs bark at strangers, so anyone who's not staying inside the house, so automatically the dogs will bark to alert you, wait, someone is outside. And this is one of the major reason why people want the dogs, is to protect them, to alert them, to become a ring bell. And therefore, if you ask me, if your dog is barking at someone that's coming to your house and the people is not staying with you and he's a stranger, it's not necessary to serve them. The dog is doing his job. He's doing his good job. And we should reward them instead of correcting their behavior. Okay? So my dogs go crazy when I feed them or when I'm eating my food. How do I stop them? You see, as I told you, when you feed the dogs, when the dog get excited, it's basically that you always give him the food whenever he show you the excitement. So if you want to train this behavior, basically that you need to keep your food on your hand. So when the dogs jump around, you just wait, practice no touch, no talk, no eye contact. So when he stop jumping, immediately you give him the food. Or when you're eating your food, right? So when you're eating your food, your dog jump around begging for the food. If you give him the attention, you are actually rewarding him. So we don't want to do that. What you have to do is just keep calm, ignoring your dogs. If he keep on chasing after you, push him away, no touch, no talk, no eye contact. But when he come down, immediately you reward them. A lot of people, right, when they're eating something on the food, the dog begging, and they cannot tahan it, they just take the food and give it to him. So the moment you give it to him, you're rewarding the behavior. And tomorrow he will bark more. He will want the food more. Okay, so all these things that you have to stop it. Next. My dog is biting everything inside the house. How should I stop it? Okay. One of the common reasons that the dogs bite inside the house is because the dog have nothing else to do. First, exercising the dogs is very important. Secondly, a lot of dog bites when you're not around. Okay, so what you have to do when you're not around, you have to keep the dog at a safe place, and therefore he don't get any chances to bite anything. So when you're around, once you're exercising the dog, bring him out for a walk, put him in, and you start letting him explore. If he bite, move him away. When he bite, move him away. So you can train him during that time. So my dog is starting to show such aggression such as growling and attempting to bite. What is wrong with my dog? Okay, dogs are born to be a human best friend. So unlikely they will show any aggressions or growling towards you. So when this is happening, so it could be a sign that you're in danger anytime that you will get bitten by the dogs. And first, I will not advise anyone who have dogs that have aggressions like growling or attempting to bite to solve on their own. It's very dangerous and require a lot of experience and knowledge to solve them. It's better that you consult a professionals. And of course, one of the main reasons to cause it is mainly due to what we call as a behavior issue. There's no leadership. The dog think that he's the boss. Or the other reason is what we call as inbreeding. Your dogs could be inbreeding dogs. The parents could be the brother and sister, and therefore the gene was messed up to cause him to have this genetic problem. Okay. Sorry about my time. I think it's going to run off, so I have to go faster a little bit. So at least everyone have to, at least what we prepare for you can be done. So my dogs bark all through the night for no apparent reason. What do I do? Again, you see, if you look at most of the behavior, right, it was mainly due to one word. It's what we call as energy. Okay, it was always due to the energy is too high. Then the dog's biting everything lah. The dog doing all these silly things lah. So when you are able to lower down your energy, right, you actually solve down most of the behavior issue. You get what I mean, right? So when your dog's barking for no reason, so basically the dog's trying to tell you that I'm very bored, please get me something else to do, come and play with me. So what you can do is to walk the dog, providing proper exercise activity to maintain the behavior. One simple thing that you have to remember, when your dog's energy is too high, get him lower. That's the tricks. Okay, when your dog's energy is very low, bring him higher. Okay, next. Remember that dogs are silent communication that respond to energy. As I told you, don't talk so much with your dogs. Okay, actions speak louder than words. Okay, when when you want your dogs to calm down, you have to calm down first. So when your dog calm down, you reward. So everything is based on actions, practicing no touch, no talk, no eye contact, and the 3C to remember: become, be cool, and be corrected. Okay, I think this is the final slide. Okay, I'm so sorry at the end of the slide that I have to go through very quickly.
No
And
problem, Mr. Dave.
so yeah, and thanks for spending about 1.5 hours with me.
Yeah. So